AITA for kicking my sister out after overhearing why she actually brought her husband? My name is Rachel, and I am 39 years old. I live alone in a spacious house in the suburbs of Gilbert, Arizona, which I bought 3 years ago. It took me a long time of saving and tightening my budget, but I managed it with my job as a software developer. The house has 4 bedrooms, a comfortable kitchen, and a guest room that I always thought would be perfect for when friends came to stay. I work from home. That gives me a certain freedom to organize my schedule, but it also means that any noise or interruption throws off my whole day. And I had been living in peace for months. My younger sister, Jenna, is 35. She was always the spoiled one. My parents have protected her as if the world would end without her. Jenna married Derek 5 years ago. They lived in a rented apartment in Central Phoenix. She does not work. She says that what he earns is enough for both of them. Every time we spoke, Jenna would brag about her marriage, that they were intense, that nobody understood them, that they had a spark I had never experienced. And then she would shamelessly point out that I was still single, asking when I was going to settle down, that I was running out of time. I would just put up with it and let it go. Tired me, yes, but I preferred to avoid arguments. That night I went to bed early. I had set my alarm for 7 in the morning because I had an important deadline the next day. I turned off the light, got comfortable, and just as I was starting to fall asleep, I heard loud, urgent banging, as if someone were desperate. My heart started racing. Who shows up at someone else's house at midnight? I put on a robe and went downstairs carefully and quietly. The banging continued, and then I heard a voice that made my blood run cold. "Rachel, please open up." It was Jenna, but it did not sound like her. She sounded broken, as if she were crying and screaming at the same time. I ran to the door and looked through the peephole. There she was with a suitcase. Her face was red and swollen, her hair was a mess, and she kept looking back at the street as if someone might appear at any moment. I opened the door, and before I could say anything, she barged in. "Jenna, what happened?" I asked, closing the door. She dropped the suitcase and burst into tears. It was not a quiet cry. It was the kind that does not even let you breathe. I had never seen her like this. I took her by the shoulders and led her to the couch. "Sit down. Breathe. Tell me what happened." She trembled for a while, trying to calm down. Finally, she looked up. Her eyes were red and puffy. "Derek," she said, her voice shaking. "Derek has been treating me very badly for weeks. He says things to me, humiliates me, makes me feel like I am worthless, as if he is doing me a favor by staying with me." I felt a pit in my stomach. "What? But you always said everything was perfect." Jenna clenched her jaw. "That is what I said." "Yes," she stated in a flat tone. Then, as if regretting it, she looked down. "I am sorry. I did not want anyone to know. I thought he was going to change." I moved closer. "So why are you here right now? What happened tonight?" Jenna pulled up her sleeve and showed me her arm. On her upper arm was a dark bruise, clearly from where he had grabbed her forcefully. "He hurt me," she said softly. My stomach lurched. "He got physical with you?" "Yesterday he grabbed me this hard," she said, pointing to the mark. "And today he struck me. He yelled at me to grab my things and leave, so I grabbed what I could and came here." I stared at the bruise. I felt a mix of anger and sadness, like something hot rising in my chest. Derek had always seemed like a quiet guy to me, the kind who speaks softly and seems polite. Nothing that would make me think he could create this kind of unsafe situation for my sister. "Why did you not ask for help?" I asked her. "Why did you not call someone?" "I could not think," she replied, crying again. "I just wanted to get out of there." I grabbed some clothes, threw everything into the suitcase, and left. I went to the kitchen and made some chamomile tea. It was the first thing that came to mind. My mom always said it calmed the nerves, and Jenna was a wreck. I came back and put the cup in her hands. "Drink it slowly." Jenna sipped it carefully. Little by little, her breathing settled. After a while, she spoke without looking at me. "I need to ask you something, Rachel. Can I stay here for a while? Just until I figure out what to do." I looked at her and did not hesitate. "Of course. You are my sister, Jenna." She swallowed hard, as if mustering her courage. "I am going to divorce him," she said. And for the first time all night, her voice sounded firmer. I am going to make him answer for everything. I nodded. I know someone who can help you, I told her. A family law attorney named Lisa Morgan. She handles domestic violence cases. I will look her up tomorrow and call her. Jenna did not answer, just looked down again. I took her to the guest room. I gave her clean towels and extra blanket and let her rest. When she closed the door, I went up to my room, but I could not sleep. I kept thinking about all the times Jenna had bragged about her perfect marriage, about how she made fun of me for being single. Had she been faking it all this time? Or had things just recently gone bad? The next day, I woke up exhausted. I had slept maybe 3 hours. My head felt heavy, my thoughts jumbled. I heard Jenna moving in the guest room. I went downstairs, made coffee, and stared at the phone, thinking about calling Lisa. Jenna came down wearing one of my t-shirts and a pair of sweatpants I had lent her. She looked a little better, but her eyes were still swollen. "Good morning," I said, pouring her some coffee. "Hey, about yesterday about the lawyer. I am going to call her this morning before I start work." Jenna took a sip and nodded listlessly. I made scrambled eggs and toast. We ate in silence for a few minutes. "So what is the plan?" I finally asked. "Are you going to file for divorce now?" Jenna put her fork down on the plate and gave me a strange look, as if she were calculating something. "I have been thinking," she said, "and I do not want to get lawyers involved yet. Maybe we can talk, work it out without resorting to that." I looked at her, stunned. "Jenna, you showed up with a suitcase at midnight. With a bruise. You said he got physical with you." Jenna sat up straight, as if offended. "Rachel, I am an adult. It is my marriage. I will decide." I wanted to argue with her. I wanted to tell her that this was not normal, that it could not be fixed with a chat, but her tone shut me down. "Okay," I said finally. "But if you change your mind, the offer of help still stands." The following days were incredibly weird. Jenna did not go out much, just occasionally to see some friends. She spent most of the day in my living room, sprawled on the couch, watching shows with her phone in her hand. I would be working on my computer and would suddenly hear giggles, texts, and hushed phone calls. A week went by. Then another. Jenna would get up late, eat whatever I cooked, and go back to the couch. She was not looking for a job, she did not help with anything, she did not even pick up her coffee cup. There were a couple of things I started to notice. Suddenly, Jenna would leave her coffee half finished, saying it upset her stomach. Another day, the color drained from her face when she smelled food. And when I asked, she would just say it was stress. One night, while we were having dinner, I tried to approach the subject carefully. "Jenna, maybe you could start helping out a little, cook a few days a week or start looking for a job." She looked at me as if I had suggested something unreasonable. "Rachel, I am going through a really tough time. I cannot handle the stress of job hunting." "I understand," I said, keeping my cool. "But I am just asking for a little support. This is hard on me too." Jenna shrugged. "You are here all day. You work from home. Besides, this is your house, so you take care of it." My face felt hot, but I swallowed my anger. That same night, my phone rang. It was Mom. "Hi, Rachel," she said in that soft voice she uses when she wants to make you feel guilty. "How is Jenna?" I took a deep breath. "Mom, she has been here for 2 weeks and she is not doing anything. She is not working, not helping. I am supporting everything." There was a silence, and then came the scolding tone. "Are you really complaining about helping your sister? Jenna has been through very difficult things. Family supports each other. Do not be like that. What will people say if they find out you kicked her out?" "I am not asking her for money," I said. "Just a little help. What she needs is understanding," Mom insisted. "Not your judgment." She hung up. I was left holding the phone, feeling like I always did, as if I were the bad guy for setting a boundary. 2 weeks later, I could not take it anymore and asked her directly, "When are you going to divorce Derek?" Jenna fixed her hair and said, as if it were nothing, "I am going to meet him in a neutral place to talk, just to get some closure." "And the lawyer?" I asked. "Lisa can really help you." Jenna waved her hand dismissively. "I do not need a lawyer. Not yet. Besides, Derek told me that if I get lawyers involved, things will get worse. I just want this to calm down." 2 days later, Jenna left early. "I am going to see Derek," she said. "We are going to talk." Be careful, I urged. And if anything happens, call me. She did not come home all day. I called her at noon. Nothing. In the afternoon, nothing. By nightfall, I was getting anxious. Called several more times. She did not answer. At 11 o'clock at night, I heard the front door. I went to the hallway and froze. Jenna walked in smiling, and behind her was Derek. They both smelled of alcohol and had that look of people who feel untouchable. What is going on? I asked, my guard up. Jenna spoke as if she were giving me good news. Rachel, we talked, we worked things out. Derek smirked. We went to dinner to celebrate, Jenna continued excitedly. And we want to stay here for a while to have some peace, to see if it works this time. Just while we find something. What do you mean, find something? I blurted out. Do you not have your apartment? Derek shrugged. Not anymore. The lease was up. We were going to move anyway. Before I could think, I replied. No. Derek is not staying in my house. Jenna's face immediately crumbled. Her eyes filled with tears. Why do you not want me to be happy? She cried. This is my chance to save my marriage. And she ran up the stairs sobbing loudly. She left me alone with Derek. I looked at him. I do not like this situation, I said. And I do not want you here. Derek raised his eyebrows, amused. Your sister wants me, Rachel. And if my wife is staying here, so am I. Just then my phone rang. Again. It was Mom. I answered from the kitchen. What is wrong with you, Rachel? Mom started without even a hello. Jenna told me you are not being supportive. They are trying to fix their marriage, and you are getting in the way. Mom, this is not happening in my house. You are selfish, Mom said. Think about your sister. Think about how she feels. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Fine, I said through gritted teeth. 2 weeks. Only 2. And then they are gone. That is more like it, Mom replied as if she had corrected me. She hung up. I returned to the living room. Jenna was already downstairs with red eyes, and Derek had a look of satisfaction. 2 weeks, I said. That is it. Then you leave. They both smiled as if they had won. The next morning Derek arrived with more things. Suitcases, boxes, bags. I have moved out of the apartment, he said as if it were normal. The lease was up anyway. I stayed silent. Now I had 2 people settling into my house as if it were their own. And I soon understood that the Derek I had seen at family gatherings was not the same Derek who was living with me. He moved around the house as if he owned the place. He used the remote, left his clothes lying around, talked loudly on the phone, and went into the kitchen and opened the fridge as if it were his right. The first serious conflict was about food. I was used to cooking light meals. Salads, vegetables, some chicken or fish. That night I made grilled chicken with vegetables. Derek looked at the plate and made a face. I do not eat that. What do you mean you do not eat that? I asked. I need meat, he said. This is not filling. Jenna immediately chimed in. Rachel, Derek works hard. He needs real food. I looked at her, unable to believe it. And I have to change my meals for him? Jenna shrugged. Well, yeah. Something more substantial. A hearty stew or steak and potatoes. I took a deep breath to keep from exploding. Fine, I said slowly. From now on I cook for myself. If you do not like it, you can cook or order food. Jenna looked offended. You cannot do that. I cannot. I responded. You are living here for free, eating here for free, and you still expect me to adjust to what he wants. They did not say anything, but their anger was obvious. From then on, I cooked my own food and they ordered pizza, burgers, or Chinese takeout. Delivery drivers arrived constantly. It seemed my house had become a mandatory stop for them. The 2 weeks turned into 3. Every time I mentioned it was time for them to go, Jenna would come up with an excuse. We are looking for something, she would say. They are asking for a security deposit. Derek is saving up money. By then I was exhausted. It was already into the 3rd week since Derek had moved in, and the atmosphere felt heavier and heavier. Until one night when I was completely fed up, I told her directly, Jenna, it has been 3 weeks. When are you leaving? And she laughed. A real laugh. Oh, Rachel, she said with a mocking smile. Derek and I are like newlyweds. You would not understand. You have never been married. That hit me like a punch. Derek noticed my expression and changed his tone. We need another 2 weeks, he said quickly, just to save up for the rent. This is the last time, I replied. 2 weeks and you are gone. I started counting the days. I dreamed of having my house back in peace, of cooking without someone criticizing me, of working without hearing shouted phone calls. But one day, something made me realize that this reconciliation was pure theater. I came back from the grocery store one afternoon and heard shouting inside the house. I opened the door carefully and stood still in the hallway listening. Jenna and Derek were arguing in the living room. You promised it would be different, Jenna yelled. I already apologized, Derek shouted back. What more do you want? I want you to stop treating me horribly. It is you too, he responded harshly. You are always demanding things. I heard heavy footsteps and then Jenna screamed. Don't you dare lay a hand on me. My whole body went cold. I ran into the living room and arrived just in time to see Derek with his hand raised. When he saw me, he lowered his arm as if nothing had happened and went toward the bedroom. Jenna stood there crying, frightened. Are you okay? I asked her. She quickly wiped her face. Yes, it was just an argument. He was going to get physical again. I saw it. No, she said angrily, raising her voice. You are always misinterpreting things. I looked at her exasperated. Jenna, he is not going to change. You have to get out of there. Her eyes hardened. Who are you to talk about my husband? She snapped. You do not know anything about our relationship. And she went after him, leaving me there trembling. That is when I understood something. This was going to last a long time. Derek was the same as always, and Jenna was going to defend him, no matter the cost. The following Saturday morning, I was in the kitchen having coffee when the doorbell rang. I was not expecting anyone. I went to the door and looked through the peephole. 2 people with suitcases. I recognized them immediately. Derek's parents. I had not seen them in over a year. I opened the door, my face filled with confusion. Donna, Richard, what are you doing here? Donna smiled and approached as if we were close friends, the kind of person who hugs you even when you do not want them to. Oh, Rachel, so good to see you. She gave me a hug I did not ask for. We came to see Derek and Jenna, she said, delighted. They invited us to stay for a few days. I felt something rise in my throat. They invited you to stay here? Richard nodded happily. Yes, they told us you have space that you would not mind. I was about to tell them that of course I minded when Jenna came running down the stairs. Donna, Richard, she said excitedly, hugging Donna. So glad you are here. Then she looked at me as if I were obligated to smile. Is not this amazing? They are going to stay with us for a while. I pulled her by the arm into the kitchen. What are you doing? I said in a low but firm voice. You cannot invite people to my house without asking me. Jenna's eyes widened pleadingly. Rachel, please, this is important. Having them here will help us. It is like a kind of family therapy. I do not care, I replied. You had no right. Jenna did something that left me cold. She got down on her knees on my kitchen floor and clasped her hands together. I am begging you, she said, almost crying. Just 1 week. 1 week and they will leave, please. I stared at her and understood that if I said no, Mom would never stop calling and Jenna would create a huge drama. I pressed my lips together. 1 week, I said. That is it. And then all 4 of you leave. Jenna jumped up and hugged me. You are the best sister, she said and ran out to announce it. And just like that, my house went from having 2 guests I did not want to having 4. That week was hell. Donna and Richard were retired, so they never went out. They were in my house all day, offering opinions all day. They criticized my work. In our day, people went to an office, Donna would say. Richard would chime in. And here they are in their pajamas all day, working. I would take a deep breath and swallow it all because I had deadlines, I had meetings, I had deliverables, and they never stopped. They also criticized my house. The couch was uncomfortable, it was too warm, the coffee was weak, my furniture was not like it used to be. A woman should keep her house in order. The worst part was the food. Now I had to feed 4 people who were never happy with anything. Donna wanted everything well done. Richard said I did not know how to make coffee. Derek continued his demand for meat, and Jenna just nodded along to everything they said. By Friday I was on the edge, and on Saturday I woke up with a clear thought. Today they leave. It was crystal clear to me. The week was up. It was over. I got ready to go to the grocery store because the fridge was almost empty. With 4 people eating, the pantry vanished. It was early Saturday, so there was less traffic. I made my list, grabbed my bag, and left. Halfway there I realized something. I had forgotten my wallet. I turned back, annoyed and in a hurry, distracted by the stress. I parked, opened the door with my key, and entered without making a sound. And then I heard voices in the living room. They were talking about me. I stood still in the hallway, my heart pounding in my chest. Donna's voice was clear. Jenna is doing it right. She is being very smart. Richard replied proudly. Of course. Rachel has this big house all to herself and does not even have a family. It is perfect. I froze. And then Derek said something that took my breath away. And now that Jenna is pregnant, Rachel will not be able to kick us out. I felt the floor move beneath me. Pregnant. Jenna had not told me anything. Donna let out a soft chuckle. That is the idea. Once it is noticeable, Rachel will not be able to throw out her pregnant sister. Richard added. And besides, if we stay long enough, it will get more complicated for her. If we are already living here, it is not so easy to get us out. It becomes a legal battle, and she will prefer to avoid it. Jenna spoke in a low voice. Do you really think it will work? Donna answered with a calmness that made me sick. The ideal thing would be for you, Derek, and the baby to stay here, and us too. Rachel does not need this much space, and besides, she earns good money. She can support us. My eyes burned with rage. They were not working on their relationship. They were planning to stay in my house, use me, live off me. I felt the blood pounding in my ears. I walked firmly into the living room. I heard everything, I said. The 4 of them jumped. Jenna turned pale. Rachel, it is not what you think, she said quickly. Derek tried to smile. We were just talking generally. Richard raised his hands. It was just a comment. Do not exaggerate. Donna switched to a sweet tone. Do not take it the wrong way, dear. We were just talking about possibilities. I looked at them one by one. You are planning to stay here and make me support you, I said in a firm voice. You are talking about dragging me into a fight, so you do not have to leave. Jenna stood up and placed a hand on her belly. Rachel, I am pregnant. You cannot throw out your pregnant sister. I looked at her without blinking. Yes, I can. Jenna's mouth fell open, offended. I am going to have your niece or nephew. I do not care if it is triplets, I replied without raising my voice. You are leaving right now. Donna took a step toward me. Rachel, think. Family helps each other. Family does not plan to squat in someone else's house, I said. Family does not conspire to take advantage of someone. I looked at the clock. You have 2 hours to pack, all 4 of you, and get out. They all started talking over me at once. Jenna crying, Donna complaining, Richard saying I was overreacting, Derek muttering as if I were the crazy one. I went to the kitchen, grabbed the phone, and called Lisa Morgan, the attorney. Lisa answered, and I quickly explained, my voice trembling with anger. I told her they were in my house, that I had let them in under family pressure, but that I no longer wanted them there, and they were hinting that they could make it difficult for me to get them out. Lisa was clear. She told me the important thing was to make it clear that I no longer wanted them in my house, and if they refused, it was best to have witnesses and ask for support so there would be a record of the situation. She did not promise me magic. She told me the reality. I hung up and took a deep breath. I went back to the living room. I spoke with a lawyer, I said, and I am not going to let this drag on. Derek let out a short laugh. Oh yeah. Yes, I replied. And if you do not leave peacefully, I am going to request assistance so there is a record that you are here without my consent. I took out my phone again and made a call to make it clear I was serious. I requested assistance so there would be witnesses and it would be clear what was happening. It did not take as long as I imagined. The local community patrol was already aware that there had been arguments at this house for several days. A security officer approached first, and shortly after, a patrol car arrived to mediate. I did not ask for anyone to be arrested. I just asked for it to be made clear in front of witnesses that I wanted them to leave. That finally changed their expressions, not because they felt shame, but because they understood I was not going to back down anymore. They went to pack, grumbling. I could hardly believe it, but they started putting things in suitcases, bags, and boxes. It took them 2 full hours, 2 hours of slamming doors, complaints, and hateful glares. Finally, they came down with everything. Derek carried boxes as if he were doing me a favor. Richard opened the trunk of his car. Donna pressed her lips together with the face of a victim. Jenna cried with loud, noisy sobs. "You are evil," she said to me. "You have no heart." I did not answer. I watched them get into their cars. They left without saying goodbye. When the last car turned the corner, I closed the door and stood in the entryway in silence. For the first time in weeks, there were no voices in my living room, no heavy footsteps, no one criticizing my coffee. I sat on the couch and breathed. It was like breathing again. An hour later, my phone rang. It was Mom. I answered, already knowing what was coming. "How could you?" she screamed as soon as she heard my voice. "How could you throw your sister out like that? She is pregnant. You left her without a place to stay. What is the whole family going to say?" "Mom," I said with forced calm. "I heard them planning to stay here and force me to support them. They were talking about dragging me into a fight." There was a silence, just a few seconds, and then Mom said something that left me cold. "Well, you are all alone in that big house," she said, as if it were logical. "Jenna is going to have a baby. You could give her the house." I was speechless. "Give her my house," I repeated. "It would be the right thing to do," Mom insisted. "That is what a sister would do." I felt a mix of disbelief and exhaustion. I did not argue anymore. I hung up. That same day, I blocked Mom's number, Dad's and Jenna's. My dad never got directly involved, but when he sent a message, it was to tell me not to exaggerate and to support my sister. That finally made it clear to me whose side they were on. Over the next few days, they tried to contact me from other numbers. Calls, messages. I did not answer. I deleted everything without reading. I eventually changed my number. A year passed, a whole year without speaking to any of them. I found out from my cousin Ashley that Jenna had a baby girl. She also told me that over time Derek showed his worst side again, that he hurt Jenna again, that he kicked her out of their apartment, and that Jenna ended up reporting him and separating from him. Ashley told me that Jenna and the baby were now living with my parents, that Jenna kept asking for my new number, that she wanted to talk to me. I asked Ashley not to give it to her. I do not feel sorry for her. It hurt me. Yes, it hurt to accept that my own family was willing to take advantage of me just because I had worked hard and owned a house. It hurt to see my sister defend a man who hurt her, and then use her pregnancy as blackmail. But it does not surprise me anymore. Jenna chose that life. My parents chose to protect her even when she was in the wrong. They chose to believe that I should give them what I had built with years of effort just because I do not have a husband. I chose something else. Today my house is mine again. There is silence. There is peace. I work without anyone interrupting me. I cook whatever I want and I feel safe in my own space. And that, after everything, is worth more than any family that only shows up when they want something from you. Comment. I really felt this story deep down because it shows how important it is to value our own worth. I believe that setting clear boundaries helps us protect the peace we have worked so hard to build. When we learn to say no with love, we make space for true healing in our lives. Kindness toward others is wonderful, yet it should never mean sacrificing our self-respect. Taking responsibility for our happiness is a powerful step toward living freely. I hope this encourages you to reflect on the relationships that truly support you. Choosing calm over constant drama can feel scary at first, but it brings lasting freedom. You have every right to create a safe space for yourself and those who respect it. Let us remember that real growth comes from honoring our needs without guilt. And remember, you are not alone in wanting a life filled with genuine peace and connection. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.